Hello everyone, welcome back. I am Kris. This video is sponsored by Intello. This is Christian Muslim Dialogue Part 1. We are in the final stretch. I had to go back because he was about to ask him a question and I didn't want to cut him off just as the question was asked. So before we get started, like, subscribe, donate to the channel through the thanks button, request a video. Your name sponsors the video. You can still request without donating. It just takes a little more time and video.
Muslims of Medina and Mecca.
Okay, here was the question. What I was going to ask you.
Okay.
It seems to be exactly that. This is Surah 929, and that obviously is one of the key texts. Do you have a video, a lecture, where you contextualize Surah 9 and you work through it? Because I did a debate in Durban, South Africa, where we discussed violence in the Bible and in the Quran. And one of the reasons I did it is I wanted people to understand that just as we have texts concerning the destruction of the Amorites or something like that, we have to look at the Bible and go, well, there was a specific context here.
Exactly.
This is the children of Israel going into the promised land. Obviously, we have the new covenant today. There is a different situation today, et cetera, et cetera. We demand the right to be able to contextualize our text. What is the context of Surah 9 that contextualizes that and delegitimizes the utilization of Al-Qaeda and ISIS?
Okay, so Al-Qaeda and ISIS are not primarily using this one verse, actually. They have a whole series of justifications, most of which are political. Go listen to bin Laden's videos on YouTube. Listen to them directly. See what he's saying. You'll find that 90% of it is political, 5-10% religious language is used there. Go listen to Zawahiri, go listen to the people that have joined ISIS in English. Some of these are English. Go listen to the 7 Summit bombers in England speaking with their British accents before they did their deeds. And again, there is no justification, please don't misunderstand me, but there is a contextualization. Listen to what they're saying and you will see that 95% are political issues that they have. Now, as for...
I'm trying to think how I was going to phrase this. A lot of people are going to hear them. Okay, first off, they're going to go play that video. They're going to look at them. They're going to identify them visually as Muslim. They're going to listen to them. There are going to be some people who are going to hear what they're saying. And when they say, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, God is great. Is that Allahu Akbar? Something like that. Allah Akbar. Clearly, I say it all the time, as you can plainly see. They're going to hear that and think Arabic, Islam, Muslim, got to be a terrorist, whatever he's saying. It's got to be in the Quran. Even if that person was saying, Barack Obama should burn in hell, Joe Biden, they're going to be like, oh, well, I didn't realize their names were in the Quran too. Oh, yep. It's like, no, it's not. Donald Trump is, and they're going to be like, oh my goodness, the Quran's ahead of its time if you think about it. But yeah, no, I can't get behind that. They're instantly going to look at it from that standpoint. And they're going to link it, even if, and what he's saying is true. It is a political issue, but they're not going to see it that way. They're going to see their terrorists who are chanting the Quran. That's all they're going to hear, because that's what they want to hear.
For this verse, it's a very easy, clear verse, and that's why it's never been misunderstood this way. And ISIS and Al-Qaeda does not use this verse primarily. This is actually a misunderstanding. They barely use this verse at all. And that is because not a single person has ever been killed because of this verse in Islamic history, even when it came down. The verse is one of the final verses ever revealed. And the Surah 9, is essentially the proclamation that the holy city of Mecca, the city of Abraham and Ishmael, can no longer house idolatry. So the surah begins, the chapter begins that announce to the pagans they have to leave the holy lands of Mecca. They have to go to further regions. They're not allowed to be here. Announce that they have, 4 months to decide what they want to do. Either convert to the faith or leave and go somewhere else, right? And if anybody wants safe passage and protection, make sure that you give them safe passage and protection till they get out of the holy sanctuary. Mecca is a holy place that Abraham built according to the Islamic tradition, and Ishmael built, and it's a holy place. There can be no idolatry. Once the 4 months go by, then tell them that they shall be killed wherever they are found. This is meaning in the city of Mecca, right?
Which unbelievers can't go into even
Which
today.
unbelievers still cannot go into, yeah. So the city of Mecca is a holy city. Nobody's ever been killed for going into Mecca. I mean, people have gone to Mecca. There have been travelers who described themselves. They wrote travelogues about it. Google them. There's like a whole genre of Western travelers throughout the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries that pretended to be Muslims, disguised themselves and went. And some people were discovered. Nobody was killed because it's not meant to be effective in the future. It is essentially a threat to the local pagans that you have 4 months. After that, no holds barred. And it is a very harsh threat, no denying that. But it was never effected. Nothing actually happened. Nobody was actually killed as a result of this verse. So this verse does not in any sense or fashion or form provide a carte blanche ruling to kill all infidels. It is nonsensical that somebody even believes this, because Islamic law has very detailed, tomes dedicated to the rights of non-Muslims and the status of non-Muslims. Look at Egypt, classic example. The Muslims conquered Egypt in the first Islamic century. Egypt was essentially 100% Christian, Coptic Christian. 100% Coptic Christian, and a lot of research has been done on Egypt. Currently, 2016, 2017, Egypt is 90% Muslim, 10%.
Wow, this was 8 years ago. Yeah, wow. I don't know what I was expecting.
Coptic Christian. Okay, so in 1,450 years, from 100% Christian to 10% Christian. Okay, a lot of research has been done on Egypt. In the entire history of Egypt, there was never one generation where there was a spike of converts. Rather, it's a steady, but slowly, surely, you're just going up until you get to a tapered off at around 70, 80 years ago. After that, not much conversion has taken place. There was never any massive amount of conversion. It was slow, it was organic, and people converted. The very fact that 1 out of 10 Egyptians is still a Copt, and Egypt has been under Muslim rule for 1,450 years, it dispels this myth or this notion that Islam is going to kill the infidel wherever they find them. Now, does Islamic law have different treatment of non-Muslims? I'm not going to sugarcoat. Yes, it does. But one needs to understand that Islamic politics was very different than modern secularism. Just like American law has different statuses for people that are not American. If you're on an H1, a J1, a K1, a T1 visa, you don't have the same rights and privileges as somebody. I mean, let's get practical here. To be the president, your mother has to give birth to you in America. The controversy over Barack Obama, sorry to get political here, but the controversy of where he was born. Why? I mean, somebody can ask, what's the big deal? Because from the perspective of American law, where you were born gives you certain privileges. So the nation state views itself with a particular hierarchy, and that's fine. Well, Islamic law viewed itself with a particular hierarchy, and there was a hierarchy. Nobody's going to deny that. At the same time, does that hierarchy have to be imported and updated? That's a question for debate now, and Muslim theologians are talking about that now.
Obviously, that can be abused. There are times when Christian minorities...
Any rule, any law can be abused at any time by anyone in a position to do it. Religion, politics, that's just the world around.
there have been bad Muslim rulers and things like that. You're talking about in a general sense here in regards to what that particular surah was talking about, and that's the context of it. So you would limit it primarily to that only that time period,
well, it's
right
not
after.
Just me. This is the consensus of the exegetes. You don't even have to have a background knowledge Read the beginning of chapter 9. It is so explicit. Announce to the pagans they have to depart from the Holy Lands, give them 4 months. If anybody requests safe passage, guarantee them safe passage. Once the 4 months have gone by, once the holy months have gone by, then announce that, no holds barred, they will be slayed wherever they are found. It's very clear. There's no ambiguity in it.
There's a question to me that you might find interesting. I'm not sure if you scrolled down to far enough to see this one. Question to James, solidarity with Muslims regarding Muslim registry. In the advent of latest administration, there might be draconic laws geared against Muslims to register them. If these laws come into effect, can we expect any solidarity with our fellow Christians? Have you thought about that? Now, I cannot possibly see that happening, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't care who President Trump thinks that he is. There are limits to presidential power.
We would hope.
I can't possibly see the courts allowing anything like that to happen. But I will answer it along these lines. I have been very concerned by the fact that a lot of my fellow Christians have bought into the idea that we should buy into religious restrictions of religious liberty. Don't you realize that if you give the government power to limit the religious rights of one group, look at this government, look what they're doing. How long is it going to be before they turn that on us?
And it doesn't have to be the Trump organization first time around, because this is Trump organization presidency second time. What if, hey, stop. What if somebody else gets in power and takes the exact same law or mandate, that's a better word, takes the exact same mandate that the Christians liked because it went against Muslims. And that person tweaked it, so now it's being used against them. And that, that is what he's saying, but I'm just saying it doesn't have to be this one. It could be 50 years from now. But once that door's open, it's like, if anyone watches police videos in America, you open up your door and there's cops outside, right? And they're like, open the door, we need to talk to you. So you open the door, which you never should, but this is not that video. What's the one thing that they do? They put their foot in the doorway. Now you can't close your door. You close your door, you close it on them. That's assault. They will go into your house and arrest you. And all I'm trying to say is, once you've allowed that, you've opened that door, they're putting that foot in there. Because now you've given them an avenue to a whole nother section where they can now create new laws or new avenues of restriction. You can't. You got to keep that door closed.
And apply these things to us. So even just on a selfish basis, even if you aren't even concerned about somebody else, you should realize, my goodness, this is a foolish path to go down, to give the government the power to engage in this kind of thing. And I do not want this government to be applying religious tests to us. Do you want an official government translation of the Bible, for example? I mean, can you imagine that? Do you want them examining our theology to see if you're a real Christian or you're not a real Christian? Haven't we seen this before in other lands? This is dangerous.
Mandating a person of a certain faith has to go to church or a mosque. Well, for a mosque, it would be much different because if you pray 5 times a day. But what if they mandated that you had to go to a mosque, a synagogue, a church 2 or 3 times a week? Let's say for a nightly service. And if you're... Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. Oh, now I'm glitching. Oh, great. Dog knocked over a light. Gotta love that. That's wonderful. Nah, no, now even worse. All right, we're back. Yeah, I completely forgot where I was. But yeah, you don't want rules for thee, but not for me, because if thee were to get in, then they can start making rules for you, and you don't want that. You don't like it. It's not fair.
And so I would hope that there would be a major outcry against any such thing, because it is just such a complete overthrow of the vision.
I know where I was saying. If they had, you had to go to church certain times at a week, right? And if you didn't, and this happened in England. This is actually one of the reasons why the Pilgrims left and came to America. That and business reasons. But by not attending the Church of England, they fine them. Now imagine if that rule was put in. You, to show yourself as being a true religious person, you have to go to church, otherwise you're fined. Can you imagine that? Muslims go 5 times a day, right? Well, Muslims could pray anywhere 5 times a day, but what if they mandated that you had to go to a mosque Tuesdays and Thursdays and do your 5 prayers? No matter where you are, you've got to go to the mosque, and if you don't, you could be fined. That seems a little ridiculous, but why couldn't they?
Of religious liberty in this land, that if it's going to, remember what happened with the Jews in Nazi Germany? They started small and expanded from there, and it would be a horrific thing. So certainly from my perspective, I can't even begin to predict what kind of percentage of people, but there would be an outcry.
So religious and conservative Christians need to realize, and you all know this, you and us are both minorities in this land.
Yeah.
If you're going to give the government powers to go after one minority, you're going to give them powers to go after every minority. And that's not what this country was founded on. That's not the vision of our founding fathers. Our founding fathers, whatever you want to believe about their personal lives and their versions of Christianity, it's very clear they understood the dangers of giving any one sect power over others. These days, it's not even Christian sect. It is people that don't believe in any religion. You're going to give them powers. I do have to mention one question, by the way, I'm going back here. And this question is very troubling to me, and that's why I want to say it very explicitly. It's the one asked at 7:32 p.m. He's saying he's a devout Muslim. That means he's taught to hate the infidels. The Quran is the word of God. That means he's lying to us all. We believe our Bible and are faithful. Muslims believe theirs, so he is lying. See, this sentiment, it's not even insulting, it's frustrating. Why would you not believe me when I've just said that I think that a person who believes in a Trinity has the potential to go to hell? Where am I lying here? I've been as honest as I possibly can. Why would you doubt me when I say that I believe in Islam, I believe, that the God of Abraham is the God of Muhammad, I don't believe Jesus preached the Trinity? Where do you see any ambiguity? When I tell you that my religion does not teach me to hate the infidel, why then do you doubt this? You are willing to believe a stranger over everybody here that's a Muslim? How can I get a...
It's not believing a stranger. It's believing everything that they've been told by their group, their sect, their universe, which has said, this group does terrorism. Oh, and that group, some of them they're Muslim. Oh, Muslim equal bad people. There's nothing he will say. There's nothing that Dr. James White would say to that person, because that person, they know. And they're closed off to the outside world that would tell them anything different than what they already believe. Those people will never be saved. And I say that I don't mean heaven or anything like that. They'll never be saved from their own ideas of what they believe. There are people to this day, if you know anything about the president, let me see, 34, 35, 36, 37, Richard Nixon. So I have to go by the numbers. Richard Nixon, he resigned from office, only one to do it. He was going to be impeached. There are people to this day that believe he didn't do anything wrong. All the facts laid out show he did. But there are people that believe that. There are people that believe a lot of things. That you can't get into a boat and float or you'll hit an ice wall. The flat earthers. There are people that believe things that do not care about facts because they believe and then insert their facts. They are irrational people. You cannot get through to them. Nothing will. And I understand he's frustrated. My response would have been like, there are some people you can't get through to, even when you tell them. I could show you. You're around all these people. You have it in your mind because in your mind you're correct. Good luck with that. That's exactly how I would treat it because you can't. And why waste your time? He's already wasted more valuable oxygen explaining to them why you're not believing me when I'm telling you this stuff. You've already wasted, you've wasted 40 seconds right now of your time, your life, your energy.
Across to you that's dangerous. You're building these walls and barriers that don't need to exist. I do not hate you. I genuinely wish good for you, and I believe theologically you are not on the same wavelength as I am, so you're incorrect, and I don't have a problem you feel the same about me. But for you to assume that I am lying because the Quran preaches hatred, do you think you know the Quran better than all of us Muslims? Do you think that all Muslims, 1.6 billion of them, have this secret code that they communicate to one another, that they're all going to come together and lie? Taqiyya, that's the point,
Yeah, please, I hope you'll know there are 11 thumbs down on that one, just so you know. There's been a lot of other people going, no.
But the fact that somebody in this audience, after you've heard us and after you, I mean, it was at
7:30, so we have covered a lot of that since then.
One would hope.
I would really hope. There's just one really quickly, there's one more addressed to me, and I just wanted to cover it quickly, and then we're out of time. There was a quick question up here, and I'm really sorry, folks. This is a really cool thing, I have to admit.
Yeah, it is.
And I wish there was some, if the tech guys can let us know, I'd like to know if there's some way to save these, because I'd like to be able to see them. If there's some way to save them to a text file or something, let me know, because that would be neat. But there was a question, here it is. At 7:14, why did Jesus, and we know which side this came from because nobody from this church would put PBUH after Jesus, so we know where that's coming from. Peace be upon him. Not mention salvation through death on the cross in Matthew 16:19 through 22. If Jesus is sitting here amongst us, would his answer change? And what's interesting is in Matthew chapter 16, you do have his saying to Peter, when he announces that he's going to Jerusalem and he's going to be crucified. And Peter says, may it never be, because that was not what the Jews were expecting of the Messiah. Jesus' response was, Peter, get behind me. You're minding the things of man, not of God. Satan, get away from me. So it is there, and it was very central to his message, even beginning at that time, that he was going to Jerusalem, and it was necessary that he be crucified. So I wasn't sure, maybe it was just the wrong reference or something like that, but that's exactly what Matthew 16 is talking about. So I'm not sure if Jesus is sitting here amongst us, would his answer change? Well, obviously we don't believe that his answer would change because we believe that the New Testament accurately represents what he said. So it's exactly 9 o'clock.
I need to make two quick things before we conclude. Firstly, tomorrow, James and I will be having a discussion in our mosque, the Memphis Islamic Center, That's in Cordova. So just Google it, the Memphis Islamic Center, MIC. So if you want to come, there'll be like not necessarily a round two, but I mean just a further discussion.
I may end up talking more.
Okay, yes, James will end up talking more. So that's going to be at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Memphis Islamic Center, which is in Cordova. And secondly, on, is it March 4th? On March 4th, all mosques in Memphis will be having an open day, okay? So just any mosque that's closest to you, there's like 5 mosques in Memphis that are purpose-built, constructed mosques, and the largest one is the one I'm with, Memphis Islamic Center, but there's Masjid Rahman, Masjid Noor, there's other mosques here as well. Just Google, mosque, and then see the closest one to you. And if you want to come to the Memphis Islamic Center where that'll be that on March 4th, it'll be open mosque day across the city of Memphis. And March is actually Muslims in Memphis month declared by the mayor. So we have a lot of activities going on in the month of March. Let me just make those 2 announcements.
Okay. Before we close, I would like, I just started a tradition when I had my first debate with Shabir Ali at Biola University to give my dialogue partner a gift. And so I have, you can understand what the first gift I would give to someone would be. I've actually, you have a number of my books already, I think. But I got you, now some of you know what this is. This is the New American Standard Bible, which I was a critical consultant on. So I've got somewhat of an attachment there. But this is made by Cambridge, and it's called a Pit Minion. And some of you know the Pit Minion is a very nicely made Bible. And so I wanted you to have this in thanks for your being here this evening. I think it's been a very useful time together. And once again, very honored to have the opportunity of speaking with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I like that. You can tell they know each other. There's a good interaction, good energy. And that's what you need. You can't have 2 people that just are wanting to, because then nothing's going to get through. All right, well, this is pretty good. I liked it. I'm going to end this here. I'm going to go downstairs and, how do I say this? I was going to say I'm going to go downstairs and mess with my meat. But I got ground beef cooking. So, that's how I was. Hey, excuse me. I'm talking. Shut your little face. Throw you out the window. You want me to throw you out the window? Yes, you want me to throw you out the window? I'll throw you out the window. She's not whimpering now, is she? All right. Nice death threat to a dog. All right. Well, I'm ending this here. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, have a good day. Have a good night. Hey, shut your face.